I think one of the biggest issues we have in Trinidad and Tobago and in the region is metrics. The fact that we don't evaluate well-being, but we consistently use GDP, which has been the global standard. But in the last 10 years internationally, there's been a real move towards looking at other indicators of social progress and well-being. In the Caribbean, we're still using GDP as that measure, even though there are problems associated with it, such as it doesn't look at inequality.
There are many solutions to these problems, but it must start on the personal level first. So each person needs to recognize that I and you are agents of change. And how do I be peace, live peace, and create change within my own life, within my family, within my community, and by extension within Trinidad and Tobago?
I'm going to paraphrase Mahatma Gandhi here. He said the way we can see society progress is the way how they treat their animals. And I can safely say we treat our animals very poorly in Trinidad and Tobago. And we see every day there are many animals that are being abused, mistreated, abandoned. And many people turns a blind eye because they don't see it as important. But I believe if once a person shows compassion to an animal, they are a compassionate human being. And to be compassionate, it will cause a chain reaction to a better society.
How can we be peace and push Trinidad and Tobago forward if we're not at peace with ourselves?
Exactly.
I think we definitely need more and more discussions around these issues. So for example, those in authority, if we espouse specific values, are we first practicing these values? Critical question. If each person were to adopt values of integrity and say, I live by this, something as simple as honesty would change this country into an even more amazing country. Economic development go up because we're talking about honesty and transparency, and that has huge consequences for big business.
I think the problem is that we're measuring the wrong things. Traditionally, GDP has been the measure of well-being, and I think we're not measuring well-being on an individual level, and that's why we have so much crime and violence, because there's so much mistrust, because there's so much unhappiness, because people are just kind of going, always exhausted, always stressed, trying to make money, and don't have quality of life on a real level. And I think that's why there's so much violence in our society. And I think it's because we're measuring the wrong things. So there are moves towards measuring these intangible things, but so far we put so much emphasis on measuring the tangible, the economic, and there needs to be more than just that.
Saying in terms of there is a responsibility in terms of the structures around public-private sector to be more receptive to us. But at the same time, I do want to say that I do believe a lot of the autonomy does lie within us in terms of we set up, these are the objectives for our lives, this is what we want to get involved in, and we don't necessarily need someone to create that scenario for us. We need to actually be forthright enough to say, you know what, let me create an opportunity for myself. And it really ties into this whole notion of entrepreneurship, innovation. It really focuses on taking control of your own life.
In terms of entrepreneurship, we have no venture capitalist fund in the Caribbean. Now, especially in Trinidad, we had one which closed down last year, and the reason which they said was they didn't have enough ideas, feasible ideas to be able to fund ventures. And I found that pretty stupid because the entrepreneurship community has rapidly grown. More people are starting to open businesses. Last year, the statistics were about 30-something thousand businesses were open in Trinidad, registered with the Ministry of Legal Affairs. And I'm like, what do you mean they didn't have enough ideas? And the thing about that is that when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's all about connecting with people as well. And if you don't connect with the right people or a good person, then you're not going out there for yourself to look for those people. You're waiting for them to knock at your door. But in entrepreneurship, you need to go out there and do it yourself. Nobody's going to come and help you. You have to go and find the help. But the thing about it in Trinidad is, yes, you're looking for the help, but are they open-minded enough to be able to help somebody like myself as a young person?
For example, if you were to grow food in your backyard, it's not measured because they don't know how to measure it. Whereas if you go and you buy fast food, that is something that is measurable, it's a transaction. So then GDP goes up if we start buying fast food. So
yeah, I think that's a really important concept, an idea, because a lot of times we cut out the intangibles. And many times intangibles are very, very important, specifically when we're talking about economic development and business. We were just talking about the trust factor. In business, trust is huge. One company is not going to partner with another company if I don't trust the other CEO. That potential lack of trust can cause millions of dollars. But how often do we have fora really focused on building trust and building integrity within the national economy and the global economy?
Exactly.
So these are intangible factors, but ones that are very related to human development, not just gross domestic product, but human development and where we go as a country. So I think it's really, really important that we go forward with these intangible factors and really address these.
Because they're really disappearing from our lives. I mean, everybody just wants to get more money, earn more. We sort of lose that humanistic side to us. You know, our actions become robotic in a sense. You know, this is what we want, this is how we get it. But to interact with people and the way we interact with them, show respect, you know, all those things are important.
Exactly, values and human connection.
Yes.
And I feel like we keep kind of imitating what we see as the US and Europe in terms of their development model, and we don't take into account if we have a vision or not for ourselves and for our society.
I think a thing which we lack in Trinidad and the Caribbean is vision, because we had a vision 2020 and it's now 2015. Have we even close to that vision? Have we set another vision for 2050? We don't have a vision in the Caribbean anymore. What are we really aspiring towards? How do we become more patriotic, whereby we have a huge brain drain in the Caribbean and a lot of people are going outside to work in America and England and Asia, and it's because they're getting a better wage. But if we would pay our people, I think they would stay. But not only that, is if we engender into them a sense of pride within our own country, I think they will stay as well. Because no matter how much money I'm getting outside in Dubai or England, I will always remain patriotic to my country. I think if we could start teaching people that a little bit more, then we'll have a better understanding of what it is to be Trinidadian and what it is to be a Caribbean person.
The future, right? The future ours. So if they don't train us, the youth of the country, what is the future going to be? And if you look at many organizations, private and public sector, when you apply for a job or you get into a job, they always look at you as inexperienced, you're too young. And I think that is a problem. They need to involve the youth a lot more, because if they want a better future, it's up to us to make that future better.
I've seen a lot of efforts so far in Trinidad to have like a youth government and things like that, which is nice, but how much power is a youth government really going to have? I guess it's a good direction, but we need to do more with it. There needs to be a more efficient way to find out which direction the youth is going in, as far as policies, I suppose.
Many young people feel they just want to be heard, but it's actually they want power. And power means that they want to be part of the decision-making process. So this would therefore allow us to rethink the type of politics and the way we constitute our organizations and the way we come to decision-making. That is where the youth want to be at. And we deal with issues like disabilities, sexuality, gender, and also persons from different communities, especially minority groups from different classes. So that is one of the first things we want to look at. The second thing we want to look at as young people is that we don't just want jobs or to be heard, we want respect. And that means to be equally participating in a forum, to have our contribution lined up, not just a concept paper at the end or an appendix to a bigger paper. And last is that we want to burn out any system, right, that doubts our intelligence and our ability, right, to produce or to be productive in our economy and our society, because we were trained by the very institutions set up for us to perform at that level. And we need to rethink this whole idea about wisdom, which is about something that comes naturally with age, and understanding it through more case studies, so we get more experience. And that is where I think youth want to be part of the process.